Jim, today we are here in Waco, Texas, home of Baylor University, the Baylor Bears, and Chip and Joanna games.
We're here to talk to Sammy Citrano, owner of Waco's iconic restaurant, the original George's, home of the Big O.
Jim, what's a Big O?
Oh, let's go find Sammy and he can tell us a story.
All right. Welcome to Living the Dream TV, a lifestyle show dedicated to highlighting the journeys of people that are truly living the dream. Sammy, I am so excited about this interview.
I'm excited about it also. Beautiful day, and thank you, Jim, my neighbor,
You
hooking
bet.
this up.
George's is one of the iconic Waco restaurants, all because of Sammy, and you'll see that as we go forward during this interview.
So over here is our entrance to the restaurant. We have our little famous wall of famous people that we've done a lot of work with, a lot of catering, a lot of relationships with us. This is the original bar built in 1930 called Harry B's. Harry Burmeister was a nose brother and football player at Baylor University. And he had this area, and it was just a fishbowl beer and a little chicken fry and a hamburger. And in 1967, George Beatrice bought it, and he turned it into George's. It was just this room, and George added this little room, and then I was the lucky guy that got to buy it in 1993. So we're fixing to enter into what we call the Big O deck. This was the end of the building here in 1993, and this was Harry B. and his friends right here at this original bar. We knocked this out. This was all gravel parking lot, and when we knocked this out, we built the Big O deck. We built this in 2000 to have Texas music, Pat Green and Django Walker, and all kind of musicians here.
What was the inspiration behind this?
We would go to Destin, Florida in
Okay.
1996, a little place called the Boathouse.
Okay.
And it was just a boathouse, and they opened it up, and it was dollar bills, bras, burgers, and cold beer. And we said, we're in. So we came back to Waco, my wife and I, and we even bought a surfboard. It's around here somewhere. And that's how it started. They had dollar bills, and we kind of started it. People are enjoying it.
So that's the story
That's
behind
the
the dollar bills.
Yeah, thank God nobody's taking it. This is our main dining room, what we call the local room, where we have pictures of all basketball, football, baseball, Baylor, everything Baylor, MCC. So this is what we would call your main dining room for lunch, dinner. This was a story. I coordinated the food for 53 days for the government and for the county doing the Branch Davidian study. And after that, we did 8 years of catering for President Bush and Crawford. This is the deadline for the New York Times saying that we did this. I need to get another copy as it's starting to fade.
There you go.
But it's part of the culture now and the history of what we were able to do by just bussing tables and being around.
That's right.
That's awesome. So how long has the Table of Knowledge been around?
It's been around since the 60s.
Wow.
When I bought the restaurant in 93, a group of people that sit here every day, and I just started sitting down with them and discussing with them. And they solved all the world's problems. So I gave them the Table of Knowledge.
So if you go back in that corner, there's a table of nonsense.
Nonsense.
What's that one about? Is
Yeah.
it too many Big O's?
Too many Big O's.
Okay. All right, Sammy, we're out here on the patio. I'm smelling some Texas brisket.
Yeah, that's my boy, Rayford Evans. Rayford's been working with me now for about 37 years. And he cooks all our barbecue. But more importantly, he takes care of the Baylor Bear football team and Baylor Bear basketball teams.
Oh, wow.
Rayford has served every meal for Scott Drew and every meal for Kim Mulkey through their players. Both of those coaches gave him national championship rings and never said a word about it. That's something he's very
Wow.
proud of and something I'm very proud of for him.
That's
Okay?
amazing.
It
That's
smells amazing
Yeah.
It
too.
is. It's smelling good. So you still want to know all about the Big O, right?
Yes, I want to know the whole history of the Big
Well,
O.
the Big O started with a girl named Lucille Brown. She worked here back in the Harry B's days, and she worked for George Beatrice. And the code word for Baylor students back then was, can I get an orange? And that meant, can I get a beer, because they were underage. And that word changed to Big O, and it's stuck. We've trademarked it. The Big O deck, the Big O burrito, the Big O this, the Big O that, the Big O this. And it's trademarked, so nobody can use that.
I want to know about the song written
Well,
about this.
1994-5, I had known Pat Green through his sister. Pat's been a dear friend. He stops the tour bus. He gets all the food he wants every time he's southbound 35. We just saw him in Green Hall and made a big deal about my wife and Delonda and I. When he started singing George's Bar and all the colleges stuff, it was like, it was a cult. It was crazy. It was just really, really something. There's been so many other opportunities
Yeah.
like that,
Did you ever think you'd have a song written after the?
There's a second song. Brad Pacey's got a song with it. They talked about George's bar in there. Wade Bowen's got a song in there about George's in there. George's and Waco got good stuff.
Yeah.
Baylor, George's. If you don't like Waco and Baylor, Georgia, then go someplace else.
Yeah. How'd you get into the restaurant business? Was it luck? Was it random? Did you plan it? How'd you get here?
Well, I kind of planned it. I'll tell you a little bit of history about myself. I was born in Bowen, Texas, 1956 to Sam and Connie Citrano. My dad was an air conditioning serviceman. My mom was a housewife. All my grandparents came over from Sicily, Italy, and they built a grocery store in 1925, and we fed the community. So I worked as a waiter at a couple of restaurants, and I went to Lamar, Sam Houston, and then I went to work across the highway for a guy named David Tinsley. He had a restaurant called Steak and Spirits. And I went to work for him, graduated in 78. He moved me to the Woodlands to open a restaurant. And then within a couple of years, I was a president of a company. I had 6 restaurants in Tyler, Woodlands, College Station, Huntsville. And we were coming to Waco. And we found the Elite Cafe. And the night before Thanksgiving in 1985, he told me I was going to run the Elite Cafe. And I told him, no, I'm the president. And he said, this is too big of a deal. You got to run it. So I said no. Came to me 2 days before my son Kyle was born and offered me to buy 10% of the land and building with option to buy him 15. So that was an opportunity for my wife and I at 30 years old. My son was 6 weeks old, and we moved to Waco, Texas.
There you go.
Restored the Elite Cafe and the health camp. 93, George's came around. I tried to go 50-50 on both restaurants because at that time, I really didn't want George's. I wanted the Elite.
The Elite.
But he wanted the Elite, and I bought George's, bought him out, and life is history is the best thing ever happened to me in my life. A lot of good history and a lot of good things that helped.
Yeah.
Like I said before, just being around and busting tables, the opportunities that have been afforded to myself and my wife and my staff have been unbelievable. From the Branch Davidians to President Bush to the White House to Air Force One. He never flew Air Force One without cornbread from Georgia. He still has me back to the ranch to help do things when they do the Wounded Warriors. So it's just been an unbelievable relationship. Doing the Republican convention in 2,000, 5,000 people. I mean, those are things that normally doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But, thank God watched over us and learning that every day is important. You can't let your competition beat you. I came from a football knowledge from a coach. I tell my people, we gotta, just like in football, you gotta drive. You gotta coach, you gotta love, you gotta do a little bit of everything. You gotta be a psychologist, a plumber, an electrician, a doctor. You gotta be everything in our business because you're dealing with so many different young people, older people, different things. Everybody's got different ways to be motivated.
Your wife has had a huge role in your, she is the backbone of your success, right?
She's awesome. I hired Yolanda in 1978. She had too much experience, but I hired her and she's a pistol and she's still a pistol.
I think there's a story behind that though, right? Because one of your managers was interviewing
one of my managers was interviewing her and I kind of saw it. I said, I think I'll take this interview. And we talked about every musician in the world and she said, are you going to hire me? And eventually I did.
I told you didn't miss anything.
And you trained her too, right? You didn't let anybody else
train my own people. That's a bad thing to say. But she knows more about food than I ever thought about. We didn't talk about the Crazy Wings.
Well, let's talk about the Crazy Wings.
Wings is probably the number one item in the last 25 years. And all it is I copied a guy in the Temple. He called his, what did he call it?
White wings.
White wings, but they're this big. So I wanted a smaller one. And we came up with a Crazy Wing. Now my son had a better name. He wanted to call them Bear Balls, but I didn't. So we called them Crazy Wing, and they've been all over the world.
So behind Big O's, that's your next best seller is the Crazy Wings, you think?
Well, chicken fried steak.
Chicken fried.
Chicken fried steak, yeah. We've been the best chicken fried steak for many, many years.
What's your favorite Baylor moment out of all the things that you've seen, a national championship moment? What's your favorite?
2 things. When we beat Oklahoma at Floyd Casey Stadium, and I
Robert
ran
Griffin
on the field and hugging Coach Prowse and ABC News had it. Okay. And the other one was the last night at Baylor Stadium with my nephew, and it was 5 degrees, and we shut down that stadium. I'll never forget
That's
that.
right.
And then probably the opening game of the new stadium.
McLean.
That was just phenomenal. And so, those are just, you think about them and you get a smile on your face and look back to the pictures and you go, wow, we did that. How did we do that? And all we we just did it. You know what I mean? We just figured it out.
Well, the thing that, yeah, I told Kim before, I said, you're going to love Sammy. His business is successful because of the attention to detail, all the things business-wise, but I promise you, he knows everybody in that place. And
It's attention to people.
That's right. When we walked through here, Sammy stopped at 3 tables. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? That's the kind of thing that's missing from the chain restaurants or the big restaurants.
That's what I teach every day to my managers. When customers come in, they want to know who appreciates me being here. So that's why we call a lot of restaurants, they call them floor walkers. I want my managers visible. Every customer should get just a check on, because man, if you're light on coffee and you pour that coffee, you made that day.
When did you open the one in Hewitt?
14 years ago this week. That's
Okay.
my son and my nephew, Kyle and Kevin.
Okay.
Kevin, my nephew, older sister's son, he worked here while he went to A&M. My son went to TCU. It wouldn't let him go to Baylor. It's too close. So they came back after a couple years of working, said, hey, I got this opportunity in Hewitt. I didn't think you could ever build a George's too. I thought George's was a one-stop deal. Well, they proved me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable. I call it the Geritol George's because you got all the older people that went to Baylor that live out there. And now the new opportunity we have, I've owned the building where Jorge's is. I've owned it for about 25 years, and I turned it over to my son and my nephew, and I kept a little piece. I wanted George's 3. They wanted their own thing. So we've stepped up a little bit and have a great opportunity now for Jorge's.
So I grew up in Waco, and we're not going to talk about how many years ago that was, but
It was a lot.
It's several decades. But at that time, there was only maybe a couple of Mexican restaurants around. Now it's probably pushing 50 or 60 or 100 or whatever it is.
100.
When you count the taquerias and little shacks. Why did you jump into the deep end of that pool?
We've always had the word Jorge's in our mind. And so we decided just, it could have been a George's, but we felt that the city needed a little step up in the Mexican food.
Okay.
There was a lot of local that everybody really loves, but there was a couple chains that we thought we could step up a little bit. I cannot express what the community has done for our family. They've been behind us. We started a lot of first things. We started the first tailgates at Baylor, and we started a lot of things. We get credit for a lot of things, but at the end of the day, people believed in us. What I wanted to instill in all our staff and management is from the day you walk in my restaurant, I'm gonna pull a chair for you. I'm gonna talk to you. You're gonna see my manager. You're not gonna see managers switch every week. We're community. We're Waco.
Wow, Jim, I don't think I've ever met anyone like Sammy.
Sammy's one of a kind. There's some
Yes.
people that just know how to run a business. You get a fair price, quality product, great service. Sammy's been doing it right for 30 years.
And his staff loved him.
They do for a fact.
That's something.
The manager's been here for a long time. He
Yeah.
takes good care of his people.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
Here in Central Texas, Jim and I specialize in farm and ranch properties. Check out this ranch listed for sale. This is a 131-acre ranch that offers recreation, hunting, and farming opportunities. There is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, a large fishing lake, multiple ponds, and a variety of hardwoods, creating a park-like setting. What do you think about this place? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested, reach out to us.
Hit the bell and like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
On Living the Dream TV.
Hit the button. Not the button.
Bell.
I had bell going and you said something.
Okay.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the bell and do whatever it does when you hit the bell.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time on Living the Dream TV.